Welcome. This is our Sake Online. My name is Zenzele Ndebele, and the program is Surviving COVID, where we talk to different people who have gone through the journey, or call it a journey of this COVID disease, sharing their experiences, how they felt, how they discovered, and probably reflections, because for every other person that I've talked to who has suffered COVID, there are some Damascus moments of some sort, and today in the program, I'll be talking to Andisiwe Dube, Miss Dube. And Miss Dube will be sharing with us her experience when it comes to COVID. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So, my first question will be, at what point did you think that you have COVID?
I had a sore chest. I had a tight chest. So I thought it was like I had it for 2 days. I had it on a Sunday and I had it on a Monday. And it was a chest that wasn't turning into a cough. So it was really sore. It was really tight. So that was the first red flag for me. Yeah.
So you know now the tightness of chest is symptoms of COVID. And what do? Do you go for testing? Do you, what or you tell someone?
Actually, I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything to my parents because I was afraid. And stigma. COVID comes with stigma, and people are now relating it to sort of HIV and AIDS, right? So my first instinct was, if I tell my parents, they will definitely say, how did you get exposed? So in my head, I'm already thinking I would rather do the test on my own and rather give them the information when I have confirmed whether it's COVID or not.
Yeah, so at one point you then decide to go and test.
Yes, fortunately for me, at work the previous week in head office, they were conducting tests, random tests for all the employees. So fortunately for me, on that very Tuesday, when the third day when I wasn't feeling well, we actually had one of the local surgeries coming through to test us at the workplace. So just before the test, the lady asked how you're feeling. And I told her that I'm not feeling well. I've got a tight chest. And she said, no, let's just go through with it and see. I was one of the first 2 people to get tested. I tested and I went back to my office. I was called back by one of the guys about 15 minutes later, and he said, the nurse is requesting for you back in the boardroom. And I was like, oh my God, no. I was like, why would she call me back? So that was a very difficult moment because I'm thinking, you've had a COVID test and you're being called back to the boardroom. What does that translate to? Either you're positive or it's a false result and you have to redo it. So I walked into the boardroom and she asked me to sit down. She showed me the rapid test results and broke the unfortunate news to me. Yeah.
Yeah, take me to the moment when you see the positive result. What goes through your mind?
Oh, Mr. Ndebele, like I actually cried because I'm thinking it's one thing to see statistics, but it's one thing to have your name on the statistics.
To be actually part of the people.
Exactly. That moment really was devastating. And I'm like, I've tried everything within my capabilities to minimize the risk of exposure to myself. How can this be happening? Where did I get exposed? Who did I get it from? When? How long have I had it for? That's what was racing in my mind.
Again, relate to those questions and how someone feels when they test positive. But then you get the results. Where do you go? What happens?
I get the results. The nurse told me to contact my GP and inform him that I have tested positive for COVID. that was so that he can immediately give me the prescription. So fortunately for me, I do have a general practitioner who I go to from time to time just for checkups. So she's like, you need to leave the office immediately, isolate for 14 days, and you will be required to come back to work when you produce a negative result rather. So
yeah, I mean,
I worked
there is that journey home. Tell us about that.
So I called Dad, was the first person that I called. And I said, Baba, unfortunately, I have tested positive for COVID. And he just kept quiet. There was a moment of silence. We couldn't go on any further. And I hung up, and then I called Mom. And she said, I'm leaving work now and I'm coming to pick you up. That's what she said. She came home, she came to work, picked me up, we drove home, but the ride home was very, it was difficult.
Not
It
the
was
usual.
difficult.
How was your day? Not the
usual.
Yeah.
A bit of shouting in the beginning. Yay, into zenu. Abantu abatsha, you know, I think older people believe that we go hunting for COVID. Yeah, they feel like there's a narrative that they believe that we put ourselves at risk. But I'm not sure if that narrative is correct, because right now, even statistics are ballooning for younger people. And I know for a fact that it scared us, it scared young people, and we have sort of laid back. So the ride home had a bit of mixed emotions. There was fear, there was a bit of anger in the conversations that we had with Mom. There was a bit of anxiety, uncertainty as well. So we really didn't say much until we got home. I was in my room, and then that's when they decided to go out and get the prescription for me.
So this is the beginning of your isolation. You know, you get there, you know, with you know, so for most COVID, I mean, the 14 days, how were they like?
Oh my God. You know, the first couple of days were the worst. I didn't think I'd ever come out of my room. And because it was an amazing journey at the end of it. I had so much time to reflect. I even I even deleted some numbers of some exes, you know. I got rid of some bad apples, you know. I got rid of friends, you know, because I realized that there were people that I told, certain people, and I expected those certain people to be able to check up on me. I'm not saying every day, really, because for some days I didn't have any news. The first 4 days were the worst. I went through the most. The tight chest turned into a cough, high temperature, low temperature. I couldn't eat. I struggled to sleep. And all of this is happening when I'm stuck in one room. Isolation is the most difficult thing. And I think we need to start treating COVID as well, or recognizing it as a mental illness. And I'll tell you why. Because you have so much time to think, to reconsider, to reflect, that on some days you feel you're more depressed than being actually physically ill. Because, like you rightfully said, you've got so much time to reflect. And the stigma that's coming with it. Who should I tell? What is their reaction towards me? What will they think? So, but then with time, then isolation gets better. You know, you end up finding comfort in your room. I'll play my playlist until I know which song was coming on next, even on shuffle. So I read, and then you get onto Facebook and you see the statistics as well. You get onto social media. And there were times when I was like, wow, am I gonna be okay? I've been a statistic of a positive. I'm now an active case. What will be the end? Will I be a survivor? or it will end in a death statistic. So the reason why I'm saying we need to also start recognizing it as a mental illness is there's so many mental issues around COVID that so many times we focus on the physical, which is okay. But I think from my experience, I believe that surely part of it has got to do with mental health.
You know,
Definitely.
I've been telling people that COVID is the only disease where you suffer so much, but you are fresh. Someone sees you, nje, you have COVID, awukakanga, awenzangani, le COVID around so. But internally, like you're saying, the mental illness or the mental state is done. This is where you actually, I would say, if you believe in God, you actually make your way. You actually prepare. Ukuthi uNkulunkulu, I know I'm a sinner, but if your will be done, may I see the kingdom of God. Because you constantly have that possibility. I don't know when this thing would degenerate. And I don't know when I will actually need, oxygen. So you don't know what's coming next. You don't know whether the next day is going to be better or worse. Yeah.
Yes. And it was so what's the word? It was so erratic. One day you're fine, one day you're not. And I also struggled to sleep because of what you're saying. I was like, if I fall asleep, in Zapapam, like, because I end up feel that tightness of the chest, and I'd be like, what's happening? I'd actually sit up and say, right, even if my death comes, and it's just, yes, let me face it. And it's not that you're just scared. Generally, it's just anxiety. You don't know what the next day is. And definitely you draw really closer to God. It's unfortunate that it always takes such circumstances, but God is always amazing, and you have to allow him to. I reached a point where I just allowed myself to just say, let me just be still, and whatever happens, happens. And my mom would come and say, how are you feeling today? And I'll be like, I'm okay, right? She'd be, no, say it with a positive attitude, you see. And it's going back to the mental health part of it. From day 7, I told myself that the worst is over. Now I need to focus on my recovery. So I started feeling good. I started thinking better. I started sunbasking even. I started to step outside because just to get that fresh air. So I started doing things in a better way because I was now most interested in my recovery, and I was desperate to get to a point of recovery more than anything. Yeah.
You actually, one of the things, obviously older than you and at more risk, and how do they take this whole thing throughout their isolation? How do they feel? Don't they feel that
yeah, they feel like, mom was like, no, like you're saying. In the beginning, mom was very, very vigilant. I remember on the first 4 or 5 days, she would leave the food just by my door, and she would say, when you're done eating, put back the plates there. I was the last one to bath as well, so that I can sanitize the restroom when I'm done. If I needed to open any doors, I would let them know to open them so that I just walk through without having to touch any surfaces. I had my own utensils, and one of the first days when I walked out of my room, walking outside, ngabona sengifakelwe ikhona lami nje ile mgani yami ukuthi ayihlangani le abanye. You see, this is the stigma that I'm talking about, because even at home, kwaso ule nditshi yami laphana eceleni where there was my cup and my glass and my spoon. Yes, the COVID corner. So it was an interesting journey. It became amazing towards the end, filled with a lot of anxiety, with a lot of fear, but you know, you have to continuously do what you're told. I was drinking up to 10 pills in one dose at one point. And I was like, lapha umuntu sesifo, ngazibona amaphilisi angu-10 and you recover.
Yeah, you know, you have vitamin, you have zinc, you have thromycin, and
yes,
you know, you all, you know, and will be telling you, no, ginger is much better, the onion. No, let's talk about the traditional remedies. Did you do all those things?
I did. For me, I had a combination of everything. Like I said in the beginning, he sent me the prescription. Then home remedies, my mom from the very first day. And I'll tell you, up to today, I'm still doing that. When I walk into the house from work, the first thing I'm like, can I have a concoction? Is it there? What's it there? I'm chewing ginger. I'm making myself a cup of hot water with lemon. I'm still doing that up to today. I was steaming up to 3 times a day. I still do that now, but not as often, maybe once a day now, once in 2 days. But yeah, it was definitely a combination of traditional remedies and scientific medication as well. So yeah.
Yeah, you know, as we go to a close, I mean, one of the interesting things that you admitted, which many people would tell me offshore, and they will not put it on record. They'll say, at that particular time, delete my message. One, I wanted to say these people are in my life. Secondly, I wanted to say, in case ngingafa, abantu abazavela before Niami, may they not find nude pictures and these messages from these people that they never knew I had a relationship or I talked to, you know. So did you get to that point? Yeah.
For me, it was more of, you know, like I said, there were certain people that I told and there's some people that I didn't. And for some friends, I realized that because after I tested negative, now everybody wants to be my friend. So I got a vibe that when I test positive or when I'm in isolation, I'm not good enough for certain people. But then when I'm out, I'm good enough for you. So that really hurt me. And I said to myself, so then do I really need this person? Why am I holding on to this ex's number? If he's not even interested, you know, I'll tell him that I've tested positive and it's like, okay. And so people don't even send fruit baskets. People don't even send roses. Yeah. Yes, even friends don't even send roses. Friends don't send you fruit baskets. I don't know. Friends don't even send you lunch even, because you didn't even need to go out. There's so many things I feel people could have done to reach out to me, especially close friends. So when none of that happened, then I started to question the relationships that I had. So then I analyzed friendships and I got to know that for some people, I'm only good enough when I'm fit and fabulous. And when I'm down and under and I'm in the doldrums, I'm not good enough to be someone's friend. So it was under that capacity that I went through my contact list and I'm like, I'm getting rid of these bad apples because there's no benefit. At that point in time, you need nothing but love. And the love that I got from my family, the love that I got from church mates, the love that I got from my workmates was amazing. And that's when I realized that if that's the case, then probably I don't need the 2 out of 5 contacts, which I'm holding.
Yeah, what was, I mean, lastly, what was your turning point? What are the things that you then reflected and say, I'm going to do this, I'm not going to do that? What was that, you know, the reflections that you went through? How did it change your life? The whole
Yeah, no, that's a very great question, actually. And when I said to myself, out of isolation, what do I want to do? It's like I just want to be. I just now, some meanings make more sense rather now. When you hear people saying, live your life to the fullest, it's like I want YOLO, for sure. It only made sense during my time in isolation. But then I realized that in as much as I can say YOLO, I still need to continue being vigilant. So, but I realized that no matter how cautious you can be, no matter how vigilant you can be, it's not like no. Unfortunately, I was a statistic, but I'm glad because for me, it ended well. And I think the greatest lesson is that I'm extremely grateful for life, regardless of any circumstances. And I told myself that having gone through such a traumatic and horrible experience, I don't want to allow my happiness relying on somebody else. It should be upon myself. So I'll be with those who genuinely are there for me. And that's how we'll move.
Yeah, I mean, are you vaccinated yourself?
I am, and I had both jabs by the 18th of May.
So when you went through this experience, you were already vaccinated.
I was already vaccinated.
And probably it took lesser days because of the vaccine.
Did, and just interestingly though, I had tested positive with someone else from my workplace. When we went back for the retest, 14 days later, I tested negative, he tested positive again. And Mr. Ndebele, because he tested first and his results came out positive. And I was like, I'm not going through this. If that's the case. I was like, no. And then the lady was like, no, it's so saying immune, so saying I'm remedies, how good your body was responding, how religiously you were doing everything that you needed to do. And when I tested negative, I danced. And I'm like, wow, I got this.
So
I did it.
Was this person vaccinated, the one who tested positive again?
One jab only.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Yeah, maybe lastly, what would be your advice to someone out there who is yet to go through what can people do if ever there's anything that they can do to actually avoid contracting COVID?
Well, on a closing note, I'm not sure whether there is enough that we can do as human beings to prevent ourselves. We can be the most vigilant person, but it can only take just one circumstance, unfortunately. So, but on the brighter side, for anybody who's yet to suffer from this, embrace it. Embrace it and allow yourself to go through that experience. It's amazing if you make it. It's horrible, yes. It's traumatic, yes. But it's something that when you look back on, you think, wow, like I came out of this and I have a story to tell. So for anybody who is going through it, for anybody who is yet to go through it, allow it, embrace it, and you will find that it'll be such an amazing journey, especially if you do everything necessary to take care of yourself.
On that powerful note, thank you very much, Andisiwe, for sharing with us your experience. And we have had the good experience. We are talking to survivors. Unfortunately, there are some people who never recovered and who never get a chance to talk to them. People said people are dying, and many more people probably are going to contract this virus before it's eliminated. I don't know whether we're going to ever have a COVID-free world, but for now, it's really bad, and we would really encourage people to vaccinate, and where possible, try by all means to isolate. Like you're saying, people don't go out to hunt for COVID, but if they can avoid crowded places and always wear a mask, and also if you have it, make sure that you don't pass it to the next person. So thank you very much for your story. It's so amazing. You've made me realize a lot of things that we really take for granted. And for sure, COVID is a mental illness. That's the one thing that I got from you, and I totally agree with you. So this was the program Surviving COVID. My name is Zenzele Ndebele. Until we meet again in other programs, have a good day.